You want to know evil. It's the kind of things that keep you up at night. The son inherits the sins of the father. Frankly, I wish not to do that. 3 generations from wealth to ruin. And when you shake hands with the devil, you should expect to get burned. It's not that hard to understand, but it is to the uneducated and the easily swindled because of charisma and bad actors. Appearances aren't always as they seem. And when we talk about globalism and sustainability goals, it looks good, but it smells like horse shit. You want something sustainable, you go back to being local, because globalism was always about a worldwide domination of trade and collusion and trafficking. You know, trying to eliminate, free trade was the idea. TPP, NAFTA, European zone, and other things like that. Very similar. The usage of sanctions against decent people, decent countries for extortion, and the leverage and favoritism of certain countries or groups of countries, say like OPEC. You know, the oil barons in the Middle East. There's other parts of the world that have oil, but none of them have access to the market because of them. You see, this is monopoly, racketeering, all of these white-collar crimes that are committed by people across the world that think that they have absolute power. But technology and the usage of is absolute power in evolution. He who first learns how to throw a rock wins. He who first learns how to make a slingshot and then put the rock inside, it takes down the giant. Because communication is the essence of the human network. And when we look at AI as the new savior of humanity, then frankly, I can't help you. When you replace humanity with the lust of technology, or you place the hierarchy or any other false idol, some worship, devil worship, whatever you want to call it. This old V-neck, distressed. It's okay to have trade and interesting things, but you know, the hegemony of uniformity is psychopathy. Obviously, it falls in line with propaganda. My brothers and sisters across the world, uniformity. Crack, crack, crack of all the joints that is the human body. Disharmony, disunion. All the things that keep you up at night. I would say I have more information, but I don't feel like booting up the computer at this very moment, considering it's, just about 4 o'clock in the morning. And my father is sleeping next door because of things like globalism and racketeering and suppression of unions and of organization for absolute power of certain individuals. I need not say their names because they know who they are. It doesn't matter who we are. What matters was the plan. And for years and years, we were toiling away in the background. Because the best play in the strategic handbook is the switcheroo. And everyone that thought that they knew what power was, we gave them enough rope to hang themselves. And they will continue to hang themselves by their reputations in the court of public opinion. Because as I've said in many other videos, there's no secrets in the age of information, the digital frontier, the post-internet epoch. The first social network that we really thought about that was publicly accessible were the chat rooms of AOL, ICQ, IRC, and then the message boards, and then MySpace, and then Facebook, and then all the other silly ones, Twitter, Reddit, and let's not forget the pioneers of 4chan, because they are the grandfathers. You see, there's so many different ways to communicate, and one of the secrets of pedophilia is the usage of the dark web, and the way that they used to do it. I remember this from the information that I learned many years ago. It was from some TV special or some video, in that they would encode links or URLs into innocuous photos, and they would decombine them in a specialized program, because it's forbidden, it was taboo. But obviously it's a behavior that we can't have. I don't agree with it. 14 is too young, and even 16 is too young. The age of consent is 18 in most places, or 21, because otherwise it's not fair. Some countries and some traditions think otherwise because of their religions and belief systems. This is why we have civilization, and we have agreements amongst men and women, and so that the playing field is open and fair. But when you involve globalism and the trade of humans for the purposes of fertility and domination and extreme uniformity to create two-class, two-tier society in which you have an Orwellian, or George Orwell, right? The time machine, if I'm correct about that. I might not be. Where you have the women living above ground and the men living below ground. Completely different and not even equal. Savagery, immigration, all intertwined. Ebb and flow, push and pull factors of all humanity's story. So the darkness becomes us, and we are stained blood red. All of us, for our ignorance, our innocence, and our lack of participation or unwilling participation by coercion and economic factors, which again, contributing to and being contributed to by unfair trade practices, collusion, racketeering, worldwide trade, globalist domination, with the fallacies of politics and control amongst each person, while those that be of the uber rich, the super rich, the bankers, and so on and so forth, IMF, World Bank, Davos, Trilateral Commission, and all that other conspiratorial mumbo-jumbo that might have been communicated by other people in previous, and frankly were not listened to, is turning the frogs gay. See, environmental contamination falls in line with domination. You think sodium fluoride isn't a poison? It is, in high concentrations. Just like over-oxidization, too much sugar in the food. Because as I said in another video, too much sugar leads to cancer, overactive mitochondria. You know, the alternate virus theory. Viruses are naturally occurring, and they clean up the DNA. That's why you feel sick. It's because your immune system is completely being rearranged in the moment of stress. Overexposure. Excuse me. Overeating, oversleeping. So many different things to think about. Kind of makes you wonder, where did it all start? But the answer is simple. It's you and me. That's where it started. And that's where it's going to end. So you don't need to do this anymore. We don't. There's no point. I really don't have much more to say. And I keep trying to go back to sleep. But it's not happening anymore. I just can't do it. I can't sleep at night. Knowing some of this stuff just continues and is pervasive. The military industrial complex, the medical industrial complex. And then we have farming and land acquisitions, domination and replacement, geographically, genetically, eugenicist, propaganda.